But right now I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker. And really, he really needs no introduction. But for those who are unfamiliar with Father Frank Pavone, maybe some of the young folks, I don't know, you know. Father's been around a while. But he is a legend. And Father Frank Pavone is the founder and longtime passionate leader of the national pro-life organization, Priests for Life, and their wide variety of ministries. Mr. Pavone remains one of the most dynamic pro-life speakers in the country, and we are blessed to have him speaking at this rally this morning. Father, take it away.
Thank you. Brothers and sisters, our great movement has experienced a monumental victory in the reversal of Roe v. Wade. For decades we marched saying Roe v. Wade has got to go. And now we march and we declare, echoing not only across the nation but around the world, that Roe is gone. It wasn't reversed in some kind of nuanced or partial or indirect way. It was obliterated from the judicial landscape of America. And we have rightly been celebrating that victory ever since that day in June of 2022. But brothers and sisters, there is deep concern and deep distress in our movement as we see the pro-abortion forces going from state to state, imposing a fake, destructive right to abortion in state constitutions. And I'm here to tell you today, brothers and sisters, that the narrative that they are trying to spin and implant in the minds and hearts of the American people, namely that they are winning, that America is turning towards abortion and away from pro-life, I'm declaring to you today that narrative is as fake as the right that they are inventing. Because America is not turning away from pro-life. It is not embracing the extreme agenda that Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry represents, and it's not difficult to come to that conclusion. Remember, the battle is not only in the courts or in the legislatures, the battle is in the mind of the enemy. When you are engaged in a battle, your enemy wants you to think that he is winning. Your enemy wants you to think that you are losing ground. The battle is in the mind of the enemy. Let's look, for example, at what has transpired. They say, oh, you see, 7 states, the pro-choice side has won these ballot initiatives. 7 states? Let's take a look at whether America is really turning to pro-choice. 2 of those 7 states that passed these extreme amendments are California and Vermont. Oh my goodness, I never thought I'd see the day when California was pro-choice. Oh, what a disaster. America's falling apart. California, Vermont, and then in 3 states, it wasn't a pro-abortion amendment, it was a pro-life amendment. In Montana, it wasn't even an amendment, it was a legislative referendum. And no, they did not pass. But what did they say? Montana, the voters rejected a measure that would protect or increase protections for babies who survive abortion. Okay, they should have been able to pass that. But after that vote, the people of Montana, through their elected representative, passed no less than 10 measures restricting abortion. So where's the will of the people in Montana? It's not in that one vote. You got to look at the whole picture. Then you had Kentucky, and you had a measure there which people were saying, just like in Kansas, we don't want to change the Constitution to say that it does not secure a right to abortion or to fund abortion. Okay, but that's not the same thing as embracing unlimited abortion. And not only that, but they want to claim Kentucky as a victory? Are you kidding me? In Kentucky, the unborn child is protected from conception. That's a victory for us, not them. Brothers and sisters, the battle is in the mind of the enemy. They'll say, oh, look, Kansas, Kentucky, and Montana, and California, and Vermont, and Ohio, and Michigan. And you know what we respond? When they list those 7 states, here's what we respond. Arkansas, Alabama, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia. What do they all have in common? They all have in common they protect babies throughout pregnancy. That's a victory for us. The battle's in the mind of the enemy, brothers and sisters. Here in Florida, they're trying to bring this wave of pro-choice victories. They have moved through various states, but more importantly, they have moved into the minds and hearts of pro-life people, many of whom are afraid that indeed they are winning. And we're here to declare something today, that this wave of pro-choice victories, this effort to pull things to the side of death and destruction, when this wave hits the shores of sunny Florida, here is where it stops. Because the other side never advances without lying. The devil is a liar and a murderer. You never have murder without lies. And brothers and sisters, what's happening at this very moment inside this very court building is that Florida is standing up and saying to the abortion industry, stop lying to our people. Stop deceiving us, the American people. Whatever kind of ambivalence they may have on the issue of abortion itself, do not like being lied to. They do not like being manipulated. And here in Florida, the will of the people has already been expressed in that legislation protecting babies from 15 weeks, in that further legislation protecting them for when a heartbeat can be detected. And brothers and sisters, this court is poised to deliver to Florida not 1, but 2 victories. And we will see those victories soon, mark my words. This ballot will not get, this initiative will not get on the ballot, and those laws will come into effect here in Florida. The battle is in the mind of the enemy. We are winning. Brothers and sisters, we are winning in other states who, while not protecting the babies from conception, have advanced significant legislation, heartbeat legislation, and other protections in our neighboring state of Georgia, and also in South Carolina and many other places. And we see our victory unfolding in the courts. Because ever since Dobbs, when the pro-abortion people try to strike down state laws protecting the unborn, guess what happens? They tried it in Indiana, and the Indiana Supreme Court said, no, the law protecting babies from conception will stand. They tried to strike down the pro-life laws in Georgia and South Carolina. Guess what? Their Supreme Courts stood up and they said, no, these laws will stand. Why? Because Dobbs is not just a decision that got rid of Roe and Casey. Dobbs is a decision that looks forward. It is now precedent. And the court has said something very simple yet very profound. When the American people, through their elected representatives, want to protect babies in the womb, there is no constitutional reason to stop them from doing so. We, the courts, will not stand in their way. We are winning. Now, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something very simple. All these efforts that the pro-abortion people are trying to do to change the state constitutions, mark my words, brothers and sisters, and understand this clearly. This is not a sign of their strength. This is a sign of their weakness. Look at what they're calling this. Limiting government interference with abortion. Now think about this for a moment. In America, if you say you're limiting government interference with abortion, you are the government. They're saying they're limiting your interference with abortion. What these measures do, if and when they succeed, is that they cut off the legislative process. They say, look, no matter what evidence there is, whether it's the pain of the baby or the harm abortion does to women or any other reason that there is for protecting the unborn and their moms and dads from abortion, they're saying it doesn't matter. You can make your arguments, you can vote for pro-life candidates, you can lobby them for pro-life legislation, you can pass the legislation, and according to these people, none of that counts. Your voice doesn't matter. The arguments don't matter. Limiting government interference with abortion, they mean limiting the voice of the people for abortion. And our voices, we're not afraid to make the arguments to our fellow citizens. We're not afraid to make the arguments to our lawmakers. Why? Because we know those arguments are more persuasive than theirs. We know that we're standing in the truth. This is not a sign of their strength, it's a sign of their weakness, because they are afraid of the legislative process. They are afraid of the arguments coming out full force. Let the people see the baby. Let the people see what abortion looks like. Let them hear the testimonies of Silent No More, our campaign that gives those who've had abortions a voice to share that experience. They are afraid of all of this, and so they want to cut it off. They want to stop it from even making an impact by running, like they did for 5 decades up at the Supreme Court level, running behind the robes of the justices and hiding. Oh, it's a constitutional right. This is what they say because they don't want it argued. Who wants to interfere with a constitutional right? So they want to hide behind the robes of the justices. They want to hide behind a fake and invented right in a constitution because they don't want to engage this process. We are ready to engage it. We are engaging it. And what's going on now in Florida and in all these other states where they're trying this nonsense is a last gasp of a dying movement. They have lost, they're continuing to lose, they're afraid of the fight, and we are advancing, brothers and sisters. We are not retreating. This is the Exodus moment for the pro-life movement. An Exodus moment. The people of Israel were enslaved in Egypt. They were enslaved there for centuries. That was like our experience under Roe v. Wade. We would try. We would strive. We would even succeed in convincing people and winning elections and getting pro-life laws passed. And then the yoke of slavery came down hard upon us, and those laws would be swept away. We were enslaved in this nation. The voices of the unborn and the voices of those wanting to protect them were silenced. And then the people of Israel were set free miraculously. The plagues came down on the Egyptians, and they got so scared that they not only let the Israelites go, they chased them out. They said, we can't have these people in our country anymore. We're all going to die. And they chased them out. Brothers and sisters, the Passover celebrates this miraculous victory every year, and the people were just astonished. That was their Dobbs moment, where the people said, God has finally heard our prayers, answered those prayers. He has set us free. But no sooner, and let's not miss this lesson, no sooner did they experience the victorious joy of being set free and the celebration like we have had with Dobbs, then God allowed the hearts of Pharaoh and his army to be hardened, and they went chasing back after them. They said, why did we let our slave labor go? And so Moses and the people, having just been freed from slavery, are standing there with the Red Sea in front of them, and on the other side, those armies of Pharaoh chasing after them to go enslave them again. And here we are standing, having won this great victory, a hard-hearted abortion movement trying to put this nation in slavery again through fake constitutional rights to abortion. Now this is our Exodus moment, because we are looking with the sea on one side, with the armies on the other side, with a disappointment and a fear after a great victory, and we're in that position, and the people complain to Moses, "Why did you even take us out of Egypt?" Brothers and sisters, they were so afraid, they wanted to go back into slavery. And Moses looked to God and he said, "What do I do with this people?" And brothers and sisters, the command God gave to Moses that day, the message he told him and the people, is the very same message he gives today to this pro-life movement. You know what he said to Moses? Tell the Israelites to go forward. And I can just imagine Moses looking up and saying to himself, "Gee, I should have thought of that myself. I just go forward. Where else can we go?" Tell the Israelites to go forward. And then it was because of the trust and the obedience rooted in the historical fact that God had saved his people time and time again, that Moses lifted up that staff, and that sea opened, and they walked through it, and their feet didn't even get wet, and then that water closed in again on the foe, and they had definitive victory. Brothers and sisters, God is saying to this movement today, you've got obstacles on one side, obstacles on another. You had a great victory, you're having great disappointments. Tell the pro-life movement to go forward. I see, God says, see the victory I will win for you today. We are poised today for a great victory here in Florida. We are poised today for a victory coming from this court. It is a victory that comes from Almighty God. As our friend Willie Guardiola here says, Christian on a mission, God's got this, right, Willie? God's got this. Brothers and sisters, move forward with confidence. Don't let the other side's narrative fill your mind and heart or that of anyone else under your influence. We are winning. We are crossing this Red Sea. We are ending abortion. Florida is going to lead the way. This is where the deceptive nonsense stops from these ballot initiatives. And thank God that you and I can stand together united and ready to do everything that it takes to win the final victory for our unborn brothers and sisters. Thank you for being here, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Father Pavone. Everybody, give him a big round of applause. Woo! All right, so they had